Hey YouTube, it's Monica, and today I wanted to talk a little bit about the Charlotte Mason approach to teaching your kids to write. I love it. That's pretty much how we teach our kids to write, and I just think it's really simple and just sort of elegant and beautiful, and anyone can do it. And you can always throw in some other things if you're feeling extra creative, but I don't think you're going to find a better way, honestly. And hopefully I can explain why I think that. So first I'm going to briefly tell you about a dictation exercise my son did yesterday, but then I want to talk about his very first real narration exercise. So yesterday he did a dictation exercise from this really old-fashioned little book. It's a McGuffey eclectic primer. Very cool. I like it. I feel like it starts them pretty easy, and then it gets more complicated. Sometimes they copy the work, and then sometimes I read it line by line and they write it. Then we go through, we correct capitalization, we talk about where there needs to be commas or semicolons or dashes or spelling, stuff like that. I get spelling words especially from the dictation part. So here is what my son did yesterday. I won't belabor the point, but just to give you an idea, you can learn so much by doing a dictation. So what that again means is that I read line by line and he wrote it. So we had to correct a lot of punctuation. And every time that you go through and you correct these things with your kids, they're learning. And you just do it with a nice positive way. You don't get frustrated. And I mention that because, you know, I have learned to not get frustrated, that it's not helpful at all. And then they just learn. They just learn by repetition. You know, oh, there's question marks. Oh, we capitalize. A lot of times he didn't seem to fully understand, or he wasn't paying attention to what a full sentence was. So I had him read it and stop when he thought there was a full sentence. And then, you know, we discussed why you needed a dash there. And in the primer, they put a comma there, and we discussed that was more of an old-fashioned way of doing it. You don't need to do it like that now. Yeah, they learned that there's a lot about punctuation for the most part, and capitalization, and just figuring out where a complete sentence was when you're going to use semicolons or commas or periods. And all of that is learned through a lot of repetition by doing these exercises over and over. I want to talk about another really cool book that we found at the library, and my son just started reading it this morning, and then after he read it I was like, oh, that's a good book. Let's try to do a narration exercise. So I've never actually done that with my son. He's 8 years old and he was a little slow with the writing, so we've just been doing copy work and dictation, and it has improved his writing abilities immensely in the past year. It's been really amazing, actually. A year ago, he could barely write anything. He could barely spell anything. And now he's pretty good. I'd say he's probably pretty much on track with other kids his age. So, this book, it's called, what is it called? It's called Nurse, Soldier, Spy. And it's about this girl during the Civil War who, her parents were trying to arrange a marriage for her, and she didn't want to, so she cut her hair, pretended to be a boy, and tried to enlist in the Union Army. And they said, "Oh, we don't take 16-year-olds." But she tried again a month later, and they said they needed more soldiers, so they took her. And she started as a nurse, and then they said, "Hey, we need a spy." And anyway, it's actually very interesting. It's a true story. And it was perfect for doing a narration exercise. So a narration exercise would be basically what you think of as a little kid's book report, where you just tell what it's about. So for a young kid who is very hesitant to do writing, like my son, what we did was, instead of having him actually write it, I did the writing. And so, because writing is kind of like three things. It's coming up with the idea, number one. It's the spelling, which is intimidating to a lot of kids. And that's number two. And number three is actually the writing, the physical writing of the words. So I took those intimidating things away from my son And I will do that for a little while, and then I will ease him into doing it himself. But he came up with the words himself, and I just want to briefly share that with you and show you how you can work a kid into doing some pretty great writing, and you just ease them into it, and it's not complicated. So again, a narration is when you read a poem or a story and your kid basically just tells you what it's about. And you can start them out by you doing the writing and them telling you what to write. And as they get older, they'll do the writing themselves. So my son basically wrote this, he told me what to write, and I wrote it. Interesting things to note with this, I helped him a tiny little bit with the wording, not very much. But one thing I did help him with is he would say something, you know, when she was a young woman, she cut her hair short and dressed like a boy. She ran away so she wouldn't have to get married. She didn't regret it. And then he would say, and then she enlisted in the army. And I just said, you know, kind of need to explain how she got from here to here. Or in the very beginning, you know, he wanted to just say, there was this girl who started fighting in the war. I said, well, you need to explain a little more so people understand. So it was just, what I really helped him with was the concept of going from one idea to the next and connecting them so it's understandable. And, you know, you can imagine, he's 8 years old now, and you can imagine as a kid gets bigger, they will quickly get better and better at doing this, at connecting ideas and writing. And you know, the other work that we're doing with the dictation is really teaching him basic grammar very well, but in a very organic way, day by day, bit by bit. So that's really how we approach writing. Again, you start when they're very little, just having them copy like a word, and then, you know, they can copy a sentence. I'm serious, when they're really little. Then a few sentences, and then more and more, and then you start doing dictation, and then you start doing narration. So I was really pleased with what he did today, and how well he was able to explain what he had read. And I think a big part of that is making reading very important in your home. So part of the reason he was able to articulate himself so well, and basically just articulate himself so well, is that he has read so much that he has the words in his head already. You know, he's not at a loss for words like I am a lot. He's not at a loss for words, so he can phrase things fairly well without too much trouble. And that's not just practice writing, that's because he's read a lot. And he's been exposed to a million different ways of saying things. So anyway, that's the way we teach our kids to write. If you liked this video about Charlotte Mason approach to teaching your kids to write, then please click thumbs up. And if you have any other anything else to share about the Charlotte Mason approach to teaching your kids to write, please tell us in the comments. I would love to hear about it. Thanks, and have a great day.